Schedule.
Yeah, well, there's only two of us right now,
I
so
know, but like,
if it wasn't, if it was Jacqueline last week, it's me this week.
I don't know if that's such a good idea. I'm just saying, like, reconsider it.
I
Well,
guess
that's why I said this is a dry run.
is washing the only other person who does it?
Yeah.
At this point, yeah, I guess.
That's incredible. I wish I could help out, but I'm not as tough as Washeen to get up at or be on to get up at.
Oh, I don't get up. I
Yeah, he
never
didn't
go to
get up. He
sleep.
just drinks
I
coffee and
guess,
stays there.
yeah.
I just go to sleep afterwards. Everyone's like, "How do you do it?" I'm like, "I'm happy. I don't care."
Good for you.
But I'm not the only one
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, no, I get messages from you where you're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm so tired. I was,
And then, like 5 minutes in, I'm like all hyper.
Yes.
And by the time I'm done, I mean it's like basically just stay up. But Washin does have an advantage though, because Washin is 1 hour later, like after us. So for him, it's not all that. For him, it's like sort of like normal.
So what time does he start it? Like 3 or 4 or
Well, for us, I start at 2 and he starts at 3, so that's sort of like on Taiji schedule, which is nah. He's Washin,
yeah.
he does it.
Good man. But I guess Keonin's no longer on the schedule.
Yeah.
Need to get some of those noobs chained up quickly.
Well, I think Nengyo is probably going to go on the schedule pretty quickly. When I originally
Cool.
ordained, it was the same thing. Like it was like within the first month,
Yeah.
because I think we had the same issue then. There was a shortage of Eno, so
But wait, say the name again, because that was not the name that I was expecting you to say. Did you say Nenge or did you say something else?
Nengyo.
Who that is?
Okay.
I thought it was Nenge.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
So I thought you were talking about someone totally different.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
confused
Sorry,
me.
Nenge.
The Jinkan.
Okay. How about now? The wind is really blowing now.
You can hear a little bit of white noise, but it's not. It doesn't take over. It's not overpowering.
That's awesome.
Here today it's 15 Celsius and sunny, so
We just had a major sandstorm.
well,
Yeah, we were covered for 2 days.
where does the sand come from? Does it come up from North Africa?
Sahara, that's from the desert. We get it every year, but this year it was ridiculous. I mean, 2 days, air was hazardous. You couldn't go outside.
Sounds, yeah. Good to see everyone. Hello and welcome to our monthly full moon Riyaku Fusatsu ceremony for recommitting to the precepts, regardless whether you've committed to them already or not. This is a time when we come together, and if any of you haven't been here before, it's a ceremony that goes all the way back to the time of the Buddha, when the Sangha would gather together on the night of the full moon to recite the Vinaya Rules. And the Vinaya Rules were basically the rules of practice, and they were a lot longer then, although from the Buddha's time they kind of extended out until, I don't know how many they were, 400 or something, maybe more. There's a lot of rules. And in Mahayana, or at least going from China to Japan, we cut down the training rules to the 16 precepts we have now. And there's some minor training rules as well. But in Mahayana and Zen, we try and live by the spirit of the rules rather than needing to qualify every single thing. Don't do this, don't do that. Just like, okay, be good, be honest, be kind. Everything's good. So in Zen, we have Riyaku Fusatsu, which is a ceremony of symbolic confession, symbolic kind of thinking about all the things we've done over the last month, where we might not have practiced our best or might not have been the best person, might not have kept the precepts. Kind of look at that. And then we recommit to the precepts and say, okay, for the next month, this is how I'd like to live. So this is what we do. And I just think generally it's a really lovely time to come together as a Sangha and recommit to the precepts and just practice together. So we do this. And always, just at the beginning of the ceremony, I just read a little something. And this is actually one I've read before, but I've just got a new translation of it. It's a fascicle from Dogen, which has the title, Do Not Do Anything Evil, although Brad Warner translated it as Don't Be a Jerk, which I guess works as well. An ancient Buddha said, do not do anything evil, do good, and purify the mind yourself. This is the teaching of all the enlightened. As the general precept of the ancestral school of the 7 Buddhas, this is correctly transmitted from former Buddhas to later Buddhas. Later Buddhas have inherited it from former Buddhas. It is not only of the 7 Buddhas. This is the teaching of all the enlightened. We should contemplate this principle carefully. What is called the way of the 7 Buddhas must be like the way of the 7 Buddhas. Transmitted and inherited, it is still the conveying a message of herein. Being the teaching of all the enlightened, it is the teaching, practice, and realization of 1 billion Buddhas. The evils spoken of here have the evil nature, which is one among the good nature, evil nature, and indeterminate nature. That nature is unoriginated. Excuse me. The good nature and indeterminate nature are also unoriginated, uncontaminated, and characteristics of reality. Yet within these 3 natures, there are a number of phenomena. As for evils, there are sameness and difference between the evil of this realm and the evil of other realms. There are sameness and difference between prior times and later times. The evil of the heavens and the evil of the human world are the same and different. How much the more is this so of the way of the enlightened and the world? The evil of the way, the good of the way, and in the indeterminate of the way are far different. Good and evil are time. Time is not good or evil. Good and evil are phenomena. Phenomena are not good or evil. However, in learning supreme perfect enlightenment, in listening to teaching, practical application, experience of results, it is deep, far-reaching, and subtle. One may hear of this supreme enlightenment from a teacher or from scriptures. At first it says, don't do any evil. If it doesn't say don't do any evil, it is not the true teaching of Buddhas. You should know what says don't do any evil is the true teaching of Buddhas. Do not do any evil. It is not the initiative of ordinary people that makes it this way. In listening to the teaching of the explanation of enlightenment, it comes across this way. What comes across this way is an expression which is the word of supreme enlightenment. Since it is the word of enlightenment, therefore it bespeaks enlightenment. And now we begin the ceremony, and we start off with offering incense and doing prostrations. So, as most of you know, I have physical disabilities, so I'm limited in my mobility and movement. So I do everything from a seated position. But all of you are welcome either to do prostrations from standing or from seating. From seated, you can either do prostrations or a deep gasho. So that is entirely up to you. And it's very much like the beginning of our usual Zazenkai. We offer the incense. I make finger movements instead of walking to symbolize what would be happening if I was able-bodied. And at the end of lighting the incense, there's 3 bells, a bell rolled down, and then 3 bells for 3 prostrations. So it's up to you, as I say, whether you want to do that fully from standing or from seated position. So we shall begin. Before we go into the first part of the ceremony proper, we just have 5 minutes or so of Zazen just to bring ourselves in connection with the here and now, bring our body and mind to this place, this time. The great precepts of Gautama Buddha were kept by all Buddhas. They were transmitted from Buddha to Buddha, and they were received by ancestor after ancestor. Our great master, Gautama Buddha, transmitted the precepts to Master Maha Kasyapa. Excuse me. Master Maha Kasyapa transmitted the precepts to Master Ananda, and the transmission of the precepts has continued in this way, passing from orthodox successor to orthodox successor in one line. Now, at this time of the full moon, we reaffirm our commitment to the precepts to return the profound benevolence of Gautama Buddha. We trust this to be the true reception of Gautama Buddha's wisdom and life. Respectfully following the approval of Gautama Buddha, we would like to devote ourselves to the precepts, beginning with atoning for past misdeeds. With hands in Gasho, we recite the verse of atonement 3 times. And if you wish, feel free to add a prostration or a deep Gasho after each recitation. All harmful acts, words, and thoughts ever committed by me since of old, on account of beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born in my body, mouth, and mind, now I atone for them all. All harmful acts, words, and thoughts ever committed by me since of old, on account of beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born in my body, mouth, and mind, now I atone for them all. All harmful acts, words, and thoughts ever committed by me since of old, on account of beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born in my body, mouth, and mind, now I atone for them all. We next invoke the presence of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, symbols of the Mahayana way, symbols of perfect practice and perfect conduct. Homage to the 7 Buddhas of the past as symbols of our connection through time. Homage to Shakyamuni Buddha, a person of this earth. Homage to Miroku Buddha, a symbol of hope for the future. Homage to Monju Bodhisattva, symbol of great wisdom. Homage to Fugan Bodhisattva, symbol of great activity. Homage to Kanzeon Bodhisattva, symbol of great compassion. Homage to the successive generations of ancestor Bodhisattvas. And leading on for that, we recite the 4 Bodhisattva vows as we dedicate ourselves to the perfect practice and perfect conduct of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. To save all sentient beings, O beings numberless, to transform all delusions, O delusions inexhaustible, to perceive reality, though reality is boundless, to attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable, to save all sentient beings, O beings numberless, to transform all delusions, O delusions inexhaustible, to perceive reality, though reality is boundless, to attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable, to save all sentient beings, though beings numberless, to transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible, to perceive reality, though reality is boundless, to attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable. Having atoned for our misdeeds, invoked the presence of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and recited the 4 Bodhisattva vows, we now symbolically purify ourselves by sprinkling water over our foreheads. If we were in a physical space together, I'd be able to do it for you, but as it is, we will get to do it ourselves. If you just have water and no greenery, just use your fingers. If you don't have water or greenery, you can just mime doing this. It's entirely symbolic. So we just get the bowl of water or our imaginary bowl of water, and we dip our bit of greenery or fingers in it, and then flick that over our forehead 3 times to symbolically purify ourselves of all we have done wrong in the last month. Each month is a new month. Each day is a new day. Each moment is a new moment. And we move into each with the intention of perfect practice, perfect conduct. And now we recommit to the precepts, beginning with the traditional recitation from the Brahmajala, Brahma's Net Sutra. I say the first line and then we hold hands in gasho for the remainder. So, all you disciples of the Buddha, join your palms in reverence and listen wholeheartedly. Now we have hands in gasho. I would now like to articulate the preface to the great precepts of the Buddhas. If the members of the Sangha will quietly listen and they know they have done wrong, they will atone. If they atone, they will be at ease. If they do not repent, then their wrongdoing will grow more grievous. Those who have done wrong are silent, and because of their silence, you should know they are all purified. Dear Sangha, listen well. In this difficult age, when the lifetime of the Buddha sometimes seems distant, you should revere the Pratimoksha. The Pratimoksha is none other than our 16 precepts. When you observe the precepts, it is like darkness meeting with light. It is like someone poor attaining a treasure. It is like someone who is ill being healed. It is like a prisoner being released from his chains, a traveler who is able to return home. You should know that these rules are the great teacher for this Sangha, no different from the presence of the Buddha in the world here and now. Thoughts of fear are difficult to produce. Unwholesome thoughts are difficult to give rise to. Therefore, a sutra says, do not trivialize minor misdeeds as if they are not problematic. Drops of water, although tiny, will gradually fill a large basin. A single instant of wrongdoing can lead you to fall into a hell of uninterrupted suffering. Once you lose your human body, you may not get another one for 10,000 kalpas. Just as a galloping horse passes by swiftly, one's physical strength will not remain. The transience of human life goes beyond the mountains and seas. Even if something remains for the duration of one day, it will be difficult to hold on to it tomorrow. Members of the Sangha should each energetically advance their own minds. Be careful not to be lazy, negligent, drowsy, or arbitrary. In the evening, you must gather your thoughts and focus them firmly on the three treasures. Don't take as being a waste of time the effort to deepen your repentance for those of later generations. Members of the Sangha, each of you in your own mind should carefully rely on these precepts. Discipline yourselves in the practices that accord with the teachings of the Buddha. And so with Hansel Gasho, we go on to recommit to all 16 precepts, beginning with the 3 refuges. Respectful devotion to Buddha, respectful devotion to Dharma, respectful devotion to Sangha, devotion to Buddha, the Supreme One, devotion to Dharma, the supreme purity and teaching, devotion to Sangha, the supreme community, perfect devotion to Buddha, perfect devotion to Dharma, perfect devotion to Sangha. Today I reaffirm my commitment to seek as I can in this body and life to avoid doing harm, to seek as I can in this body and life to live in a healthful and helping way, doing good, to seek as I can in this body and life to live for the benefit of all sentient beings. Next, we have the 10 fundamental precepts. Today, I reaffirm my commitment to seek as I can in this body and life to refrain from the killing of life, to seek as I can in this body and life to live in generosity and refrain from taking that which is not given, to seek as I can in this body and life, to refrain from misusing sexuality and all desire, to seek as I can in this body and life, to refrain from false and malicious speech, to seek as I can in this body and life, to refrain from intoxication in its many forms, to seek as I can in this body and life, to refrain from unconstructively criticizing the errors and faults of others, to seek as I can in this body and life, to refrain from praising myself and judging others, to seek as I can in this body and life, to refrain from stinginess in bestowing the Buddhist teachings and all precious things, to seek as I can in this body and life, to refrain from all anger, to seek as I can in this body and life, to refrain from disparaging the three treasures, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Abiding in this ephemeral world, may we exist in muddy water with purity like a lotus. Nothing escapes the boundless mind. Thus we bow to Buddha.
Buddha nature pervades the whole universe, reality existing right here now. In reaffirming our commitments to the precepts, we dedicate our sincere efforts to Shakyamuni Buddha Honored One, the historical Buddha and teacher, to the all-pervading and everlasting three treasures, to all arhats and bodhisattvas, mahasattvas, and their relations throughout the Dharma worlds. May our sincere vows to accomplish and live the enlightened way be realized together. All Buddhas throughout space and time. All Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, Mahaprajna Paramita.
Thank you all so much for coming. I really say it every month, but I do really appreciate you all coming to this and recommitting to the precepts. It's an important part of being part of the Sangha, is doing this together. So thank you all so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed the ceremony, and see you next time next month. Okay, take care.
So, I was missing the two most important pages. That's why I was ringing the bell too often. I'm so sorry.
Ended up, I felt like a jazz musician. I was just like, it's okay, we'll just
do this.
kind of jam along with it. Just waiting for the sax solo. It was fine.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you were just confused by the wind, but that's fine if you're missing page. It sounded. I liked it when we got a nice bit of bell. Lovely.
All right. Well, I guess if it's this windy, I'm not going to do the Zazenkai out here tonight. But hopefully by 8 or 9 o'clock, it'll have calmed down.
I hope so. Will it be too cold to do it, or are you kind of protected enough that?
It's really warm right now. What is it? It's 67 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's really nice. If I wear the full robes, I'll be fine. I've sat Zazen Kai in 38 degrees Fahrenheit with the full robes on. It's fine. They were designed for those cold mountain Chinese monasteries.
They were, and they work really well for that.
They do.
They just weren't designed for California summers.
No, or poor Kyonin. They were definitely not designed for Mexico.
I think that's very, very true. Who's Jun talking about the people coming on to do Eno stuff? Has Jundo set a date for their ordination, or is that? I saw he posted new preparatory readings today.
He mentioned maybe not waiting for everybody, like that they could start doing Eno before then. I'd rather them focus on their preparation, so I don't. Three Eno versus 2 Enos, really not that big of a difference, and I'm there every month anyway or every week because of the Techno Eno thing. So it's not like I've missed 2 Zazenkai in 3 years. So whether I'm ringing bells or not, it doesn't make a whole lot of difference.
That's probably true.
So I'd rather. I don't want to dissuade them if folks feel like they can do that. That's great, but I don't want it to take away from sewing and reading and doing whatever preparatory things they feel they need to do. So,
well, thank you for coming today. I really appreciate it.
I loved it. It was. I'm gonna go push the button on a massive database data codes. Files like migration thing that I've been working on the preparatory work for a week and a half now. So I'm going to go do that now that I'm fresh and clean and
Are you confident it's going to work?
Pardon?
Are you confident it's going to work, or is it one of those things which is going to work? It's just not really much of a.
I have no idea. The dry run didn't work. I'm hoping that. There's so many pieces of this that are from code and data that are sort of outside of my control that I really couldn't say. If it was like I know I can account for each piece, I wouldn't push the button until I was ready. But there's too many moving pieces for this, so and I'm not exactly sure why the dry run failed last week. I have some ideas, so we got a bunch of things altered and changed, and hopefully this will do it. And I learned enough from the dry run to be able to reset easily and try again if it doesn't work. Like to try to, okay, we think it was this, go fix that, and then try again. So
that's cool. We were talking again in the tea house about getting a team of techies together, and I know you've got some in mind. You should definitely have Kote on board as well. He sounds like he knows what he's doing.
Oh my goodness, yes. Yeah. He was the Chaos Computer Club member back in the day, right?
I know.
So we've got here in the U.S. we got multiple we have a Cult of the Dead Cow member and a Cult of the Dead Cow groupie, which is me.
Were they similar?
Pardon?
Were they a similar organization?
They were cousins. Like the CDC was a little more culture jamming focused as well as like tech and code stuff. Whereas the Chaos Computer Club was much more like hardcore hackers. But they were very similar. Like both of them ran like large networks of BBSs, which is how I knew the CDC was from their BBSs back in the late 80s and very early 90s.
It seemed such an exciting time because it was like when that technology was developing, and it's like it could be anything we want it to be. Now it just seems so huge. You can only like focus on a small bit of it and just.
Yeah. Well, and you know, not really sure what language to use to explain it, but it was also technology wasn't populist yet. It was very, very exclusive, and it tended to self-select. No, I'll come in. I'll be in 2 minutes. So you kind of got a particular kind of personality, tended super intelligent, like kind of countercultural. Like there was an archetype that was into it at the time.
It was. I knew them, but I was kind of adjacent to it.
Yeah. And in retrospect, I realized like that also was very white, very male, very like it was exclusionary in a whole bunch of other ways.
It's also true.
So I think it's good. I wouldn't want to go back. I wouldn't want to go back to then, like knowing what I know today, because I think I would actually be really turned off by it. In a way that as a young white guy, it was really exciting. Yeah. As an old white guy, I'd go back and be like, "Oh man!"
It's definitely, although it's still not perfect on the internet, the kind of diversification of the space is an amazing thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I think the thing is like, if you can find the right little niche or community, like there is a lot more diversity now. It's not. It's microclimates of diversity, but. There is more niches there, so I wouldn't want to go back to that time. But it was very exciting, and we were all completely wrong. Like just that whole there was a whole sort of techno utopian ideal.
Yeah, I heard a lot of that, but I kind of bought into it as well.
Yeah,
I had a friend called Jamie who was this Scottish kind of cyber goth who used to listen to Ministry, and when I last saw him. He bought a flat in Edinburgh because there was a bedroom in it with no windows. And he said, it's brilliant because I can just be coding and I don't know if it's night or day. I was like, Jamie, I'm not sure if this is entirely healthy.
That's amazing.
And he lived above the baker's shop. So his entire diet came from this baker's shop.
Carbohydrates and darkness.
But he also, even when I knew him when I was doing my PhD and he was doing a master's in biological computation, which was a really interesting course because it was like computational simulation of biological systems, which was fascinating. But he used to have to send himself Post-it notes, just say, Jamie, you haven't eaten today. Please go and eat something. He'd just forget. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It was an interesting crowd. Anyway, it sounds like you're needed indoors, and I got my kids coming in a minute for dinner as well.
Right. So. Well, thank you as always for.
No, thank you.
Letting us reset each month.
It's a nice thing. You take care, and I'll see you soon.
See ya.